Okay, well, we're definitely upset about our disappointing weekend. I think that it's something that has made us as coaches and players very unhappy and miserable, and we need to do something about it. But it's an unfortunate game where we started off well for about the first 2.5 quarters, and then the fourth quarter was a complete collapse that we have to get fixed. And the ability to finish and play for 60 full minutes is something that we need to take pride in and work extremely hard to get done. So this week there's a lot of work to be done. We're facing a very good SEC opponent that plays the best competition every single week, just like they did last week against Georgia. They're going to have good athletes. They're going to be big and physical. Coach Mason does a great job coaching on the defensive side of the ball, and then their offense has the ability as well to break through and score points. So we've got our work cut out for us. We've got to get back to just working extremely hard, trying to improve on all the things that we've made mistakes on, and put this game behind us and move forward to the next one. It's important that we always approach each week as a one-game season, and we've got a tough opponent coming into our home, and we need to take a lot of pride in working hard this week and get ready to play.
Yeah, Jeff, aside from just playing hard and for 60 minutes and finishing, personnel-wise, what are some of your biggest concerns coming out of the Nevada game?
Well, I think when you look at the game on the offensive side of the ball, we moved the ball pretty well and had some yards. We weren't great in the running game. I don't know if we're going to be great at the point of attack at some positions, but we've got to get better at that. We've got to establish that and take a little bit of pressure off the passing game. I think Elijah played extremely well until late in the game, and of course the turnovers are what killed us. And really, it was 2 throws that he just shouldn't make. You got to throw it down on 3rd and 10 when you're escaping the pocket, and not throw it to the other team, and you got to throw it underneath at the end of the game, when we're just trying to kind of move the chain to see if we can pick up some positive yardage to have a possible chance at a field goal. So really, that was the disappointing thing, is he did a lot of really good things, but the 2 interceptions were really bad decisions, and those things can't happen. I think on the defensive side of the ball, for 2.5, almost 3 quarters, we played pretty good football. Had one complete bust in coverage on the first touchdown. They let the guy run wide open, which was disappointing. And then they threw a contested fade for the second touchdown. And then really the game's 31-14, and they're punting to us, and we have a turnover that gets them the ball back, where we could easily taken that ball and tried to done something with it and possibly close the game, or get to put it at an even more differential point margin, and kind of the tide swing from there. And we didn't get stops in the fourth quarter. The pass rushing lanes were too big. The ability to scramble up the middle and buy time was disappointing to see that. And we had some, a few more busts in coverage and in the secondary, and with our linebackers in the fourth quarter. And the ability not to get a stop, and the last 3 possessions, they had the ball, they scored points, was very disappointing to see. So there's a lot of work to be done. We have to fix the mistakes we made and be men about it. And as coaches, we've got to, with myself on down, we've got to coach better and make sure that we can get our guys to play efficient, hard-nosed football the entire game.
Nick Holt was in the press box. Did that have any impact on the defense, and what's going to be his position for the Vanderbilt game? Will he be on the field, or will he be in the box?
Well, I think that, like I said, for 2.5 quarters we played pretty good, and then the fourth quarter was a collapse that we need to get fixed. So I think identifying those problems is what we're getting ready to do, and fixing those, and we're going to go about getting that done.
So no comment on where Holt's going to be this week?
We'll be right up where he was the last time.
Will Lorenzo Neal be available?
That's very doubtful.
Any other injuries of note that are going to keep personnel out of this game?
Right now, nothing at the top of my head. We had a few guys with some nicks and bruises that we'll see how they bounce back on Tuesday.
You think we'll see some other running backs work in the mix more than just Xander Horvath, who came to Rudy, get some more carries this week?
Well, I think Xander did some good things. Wasn't as sharp in protection as we like him to be. There was a couple of times running the ball, bounced the ball out when there were some holes up inside that he should have followed in. King will be a very good player, but all true freshmen playing early in the season are going to have mistakes, and it's going to take a little while to get adjusted. But we would like to get King a few carries in the game. I think he can do some things for us. To ask him to be able to do a whole lot, I think is a little unfair to him. So we got to make sure we manage what we give him, and we're on top of that. But I do think he needs to touch the football, yes, because the depth there is young, but they need to start to get on the field and play some.
Just to follow up on Nick Holt, I guess your reasoning for putting him up in the box.
Well, I think looking at the way we finished last year, it was not the way we wanted to finish. I think from a defensive coordinator, offensive coordinator standpoint, I know for myself, if I wasn't the head coach, I would be up in the booth. You can see the field, you can see what's going on, you can identify things in between series, you can have your notes and your sheets right in front of you, and it's much easier to call a game, in my opinion, upstairs, just from a sight standpoint, the ability to see personnel, match it, see who's coming in, and realize mistakes. So I thought we needed to make sure we were on top of that, and had good vision, and had everything in front of him so that he can see things and be aware of exactly what's going on due to the sideline. Like I said, I know for me, calling plays on the sideline, it's a little more of a feel thing, which you have to have a little bit, but it is beneficial to be able to see the field and know what's going on.
Any chance the defense missed his leadership in the fourth quarter on the sideline?
Well, I mean, I think we missed a lot of things in the fourth quarter. You can blame it on a lot of things. We didn't function the way we wanted to. I think it was a combination of a lot of things that happened, and we need to get it fixed. So I think watching the film and getting a feel of what exactly happened, which we did, and being able to get stops and get in the right call and execute the right call is extremely important.
You mentioned that the rush lanes defensively were too wide and left the middle of the field open. The response, I mean, is that a defensive line bust, or is that people in the back half not coming up to fill some of those gaps?
Well, it's a combination of a lot of things. I think early on, the three-man rush had some benefits. I think towards the end of the game, they got used to it. The quarterback knew he could buy some time, step up in the pocket, and allow those guys to get open. And if they weren't, he had some lanes to run, and he took advantage of it. So from a coaching standpoint, making sure that we're rushing for, making sure we're blitzing, throughout the game, 5 and 6 guys, and affecting the quarterback and his ability to not be able to stand in there and hold the ball a long time would help it. But at the same time, we've got to execute what's called. And when we are rushing 4, our tackles need to stay in their lanes, which did not happen a few times. When we're rushing 3, we've got to make sure we don't just run past the quarterback on the ends every time. And that, and then occasionally, we've got to plug in some backers and do some things to affect the quarterback. So I think it's a combination of a lot of things, and you can always look back and say we could have done this better or done that better, which is the case, but it's a combination of a lot of things. So we've got to coach better, we've got to play better, we've got to execute better, and we've got to get stops when the game's on the line.
Kenneth Major didn't finish the game. He went out there late, but is he okay for this week?
We'll see on Tuesday. I'm hopeful that he will be.
You didn't seem to. You rotated guys in there late in the fourth quarter from a defensive line perspective. Do you want to get guys in there earlier as far as the rotation? I mean, you had Branson Dean come in on third down, but Kai Higgins and Giovanni, I don't think played till late in the game or sometime in the fourth quarter. Do you want that to happen earlier, or were you happy with how things were rotating there?
I think when you look back on both sides of the ball, but definitely on the defensive line, and even at linebacker a little bit, we need to rotate our guys who play more and make sure that we're fresh in the fourth quarter. What sometimes happens is you get in a thing where you think you're playing well and things are going well and you don't want to change it up either. So I think that probably happened a little bit with us. Where early on we were playing well, we were getting stops, we were doing a very good job on defense, and you don't want to disrupt what's going on. So you've got to be able to balance those two as much as you can, and that's probably why the rotation wasn't as much as we probably wanted to going in, because things were going well and the defense was playing well for really, like I said, 2.5 quarters until other than the one bust in coverage. So then it gets to a point where you're trying to hold on and you want to play guys that have been in there. But in general, yes, we would like to rotate more on the defensive line and make sure that we have the ability to play more guys. It is always the goal, but in every game, it's a little tougher to get that done, but we've got to make sure we work hard to get that done.
As you assess what happened in the fourth quarter offensively, what stood out or what didn't happen that needed to happen for you guys?
Well, to me in general, if you have 5 turnovers and the other team has 0, it's going to have a hard time winning. And that exactly is bottom line what happened. We had 5 turnovers, 2 in special teams and 3 on offense, and the other team had 0, so we got 0 turnovers. So that's going to, it's hard. That's hard to overcome against anybody you play, and that was a big difference. And second half, we had 2 interceptions that we shouldn't have thrown, that stopped some drives. Special teams, we had 2 turnovers, and that hurt us because we had some stops and we're getting the ball back, and we don't get the ball back. So that really had a big effect on the course of the game. And then in the fourth quarter, you're trying to use the clock a little bit, but continue to move the ball, and you want to make sure you don't turn it over anymore. So looking back, probably the fourth quarter, yes, we could be more aggressive, take some more chances. So yes, that's the nemesis. You come out of there, you lose, you're like, well, shoot, okay, well, we're just going to have to be firing all bullets for 4 quarters and taking shots and throwing the ball around the field, and that's great. We want to try to do that, but that is a lot of pressure on the passing game to throw it. I mean, I think we threw it 54 times to throw it that much more. So it's got to be balanced, but yes, we do want to err on the side of being aggressive, and I think in the fourth quarter, looking back on the outcome, we were not aggressive enough.
How did you evaluate the offensive line?
Our offensive line, for the most part, did a good job. We had really just one sack, and that was on the quarterback holding the ball too long. When he moved to the left, he had an open guy underneath, and he kept looking long for Rondell when he could have just got the ball out of his hand. In the run game, at certain spots, we didn't knock people back very much. We had some penetration. And then towards the end of the game, when they started to come after us a little bit more, we struggled at certain spots that were young guys that hadn't played a whole lot. But in general, they played good enough for us to win, and they need to continue to get better. But I thought for the first game, the 5 we played gave us good effort, executed at a decent level, and while there's plenty of room for improvement, we just got to work hard at getting better and making sure that we can handle. We're going to face much better defenses throughout the course of the season, so we're going to have to be ready for the challenge.
How do you avoid not having 2 number 4s on the field or duplicate numbers on the field in the future?
Well, we're going to get that fixed. We had talked about before the game. We had a couple jerseys ready to go on. Really, in that situation, when they had the quarterback as the punter, that's where the confusion came in, where really Marvin's only in our dime package, and he's not in any of the punt packages we had. And we didn't call dime very much in the game, but when we did, he was out there, and then we tried to stick the punt returner in at the last minute. So that's on us as coaches, and we'll get that fixed.